Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about fresh release from Miniart. Of course, this is a kit which is molded in 1/35 scale, and this time it copies Bulgarian Maybach T4H. So it's not difficult to guess that we have a Panzer IV in 1/35 scale, and it's in Bulgarian version, so it will be interesting to see what is actually supplied in this particular edition. And straight away we can say that this is not an interior kit, so it will be a bit more accessible price wise, and parts count will be smaller than interior kits which we reviewed before, but still it's a decent kit to build. And maybe you are one of these modelers who don't want to spend their time with internals, then this is definitely an interesting choice for you. So first of all, we have a nice mark in our box art here. And overall design of this box is quite typical for Miniart. I mean, size-wise, here you can see comparison with my hand. And this is a commercial sample, so it means you will get exactly the same stuff as what you will see in this video review. So we are going to open it together right now. But first, let's take a look at the side of this box. So here we have some information about manufacturer and some safety advices, while on the opposite side we have some marking profiles for these tanks. As you can see, there are plenty of them, 8 marking options to be precise, and this is really impressive. While some brands we all know they include just 3 or maybe even 2 markings, here we have straight away 8 of them, and in my opinion this is a nice thing to have in a tank kit. And now we are going to open it. It's a top opening box. Here is what we have inside. So all parts are packed into the same plastic bag. They're sealed together, it's not a resealable plastic bag, and on the bottom we have assembly manual, which we will check a bit later. Well, we usually check it in the end of the video review. Now I'm opening this plastic bag, which is sealed, that's why I have to cut through it, so I need few seconds to do so. In the meantime, let me remind you that you can support us financially. It's quite easy thing to do because we have a special support DSV button on our website. It's available on desktop version of the website, and of course you can also click the same link in the video description. It's done via PayPal, so it should be safe and quick. And all this money will be used in order to improve our photo and video equipment, or maybe even get some rare kits to be reviewed, which is really important for us because we are able to show you more and tell you about more interesting kits. And I would like to thank Nikki for a recent donation, which made it possible to get some of the kits you saw in the recent video reviews. So first of all, we are going to start with this small envelope. As you can see, it features Miniart logo, and inside there is usually a P fret. And because we have a non-interior version, we have a small P fret here. It's not a surprise, but all these parts will be used for external features on your tank model. As you can see, they're unpainted, and some of them will have to be bent, so be ready to work with these parts. It's better to have the special tools for them, because otherwise it will be a bit tricky to get them into the right shape. And next we continue with Decals sheet. So this one is packed together with a clear plastic sprue, so again I have to cut through the plastic bag in order to show you contents of this bag, so just give me a second. Of course, decals are printed in decograph, so here is the decals sheet. And you can see that we have all necessary symbols for 8 marking options. Some of them might be even replicated with your own hands and airbrush. As you can see, these crosses should be quite easy to replicate, so maybe it would be a wise idea to do. Maybe you're just like me, who are fine with these decals, especially considering that they look nice once applied on the model, so I don't think it's a bad idea to use decals straight away. And next we continue with clear plastic frame. So this one carries all necessary parts for this kit, and we have periscopes, we have also lenses for headlamps and taillights. Everything is molded in a nice quality, but there are no masks included, so if you would like to cover or mask this part somehow, you will have to use your own tools and maybe tricks, because otherwise you will end up with unmasked parts. Okay, next we start with gray plastic sprues. So some of these parts will be familiar to you if you already saw Panzer IV video review. So for example, here we start with the first sprue. Maybe I'll open the camera a bit. So here we have some of the hull parts. We also have muzzle brakes here. We have main barrel here, just like on the previous kits, some thin parts here. And I suggest we start with this corner and then we gradually move to some other parts. Of course, be careful with this thin part. I usually say it in every Miniart review. It's due to the, I would say, somewhat tenderness or nature of these parts, so it's better to use maybe a plastic saw. Next we continue with the mud guards. This should be cleaned with a sharp knife. I'm not sure why it's usually on these parts we see some flash. There is no flash on other sprues and parts. You will see it further in the video review, but these ones are usually covered. Maybe it's some problem with the molding form, who knows? But it's really strange. Here we continue with another hull panel, muzzle brakes as I said. These ones are molded as a single piece part, and to prove it I will show it from the opposite side, so here you can see it with your own eyes. And that's actually a good thing because you won't have any unnecessary seams in this area. Here we continue with the turret wall panel and lower panel, and here we have main gun barrel, which is molded also as a single piece part, and in my opinion it's more than enough for out of the box build. But for these modelers who are eager to spend more, they can get a metal barrel, which will obviously look better than original plastic part, but it will involve some extra expenditure on these additional parts. Here we continue with some other elements. So here obviously we have panels for the turret, and turret should be easy to assemble. We have separate hatches everywhere where they can be opened, and that's a really handy feature in case you plan to use some figures with your kit. Here you can see also some panels for the storage box behind the turret, and everything looks nice. I have nothing to complain about here. And keep in mind that even though this is a non-interior version, still there will be a fully detailed main gun in the turret. And if I flip it over, you can see that there are also some internal features still inside the turret, even though we do not get a full interior, just like in the previous releases. But it still might be handy in case you plan to open some of the hatches, and it will be visible, I'm more than sure. Next we continue with two identical plastic sprues. Here they are. As you can see, they're absolutely similar, so we are going to check only one. Just give me a second. So we flip it over. Here we have parts for the lower hull section, and I usually show what we have here because but not in this case. It's better to show the road wheels because for this version we have slightly different parts, I guess. But note that on the road wheels we have some features on the tires, which is really cool. It's not something you often meet in armor models even today. I'm not sure why manufacturers keep skipping this, but here we have it out of the box, and that's really important. You can play with it on your model, and it will be visible in 1/35 scale, and such small touches actually bring a bit more realistic appearance to your model, so definitely do not skip on them. Next we have, just give me a second, I will take them out. So these plastic bags I usually do not open them in this Panzer IV review. So here we have track links, and as you can see they're really beautiful, but it might be a bit tedious to assemble. This kit features special assembly jig, which will make it easier to assemble, because basically what you have to do is to use these track links together with these pins, which will be inserted from the side. As you can see, they're divided in exact count, which will be inserted from the side. That's because we have this assembly jig which I mentioned, and I think we will see it further in the video review. It might be a bit tedious process, but in my opinion it's worth it because the final appearance will be really impressive, and it's obviously better than a typical vinyl offering. Here we continue also with parts for drive sprockets, and the only thing which I can mention, if camera will be kind enough to focus, you can see that attachment points are on the teeth so it will be easy to separate these parts and you won't have to waste your time trying to clean the attachment points and what is left from these attachment points. Okay, next we continue with the side fender. So here you can see that it is nicely detailed both outside and inside. So unlike some other brands, Miniart decided to have it have features on both sides, and it's not just some plain panel on the opposite side because nobody will see it. And maybe it would be a good idea to think on how to expose it on your model, because it would be a shame to hide such thing. By the way, here is the frame which I was talking before. So all these parts will be used in order to assemble the main gun in the turret. So you can expose it through the open hatches on your turret. So maybe it would be also a good idea to show it. Or if you're, let's say, lazy, then just don't paint it at all, close all the hedges, and it will be okay. I'm not sure if there was a way to assemble the tank even not installing, not using these parts. We will see in assembly manual. Here we continue with more parts which copy idlers and tensioners. And with idlers, if I bring them closer and if camera will focus, yeah, now you should be able to see that we also have some details on tire walls, which is really cool. But these rubber parts, just like on the road wheels we saw, and we will see also on the different type of the sprue, there are no painting templates for these parts. And I'm still surprised why Miniart keeps ignoring such useful thing. It's not difficult to add because they have a 3D modeling for their kits, so it should be really easy to get some, let's say, shape, circular shape, even molded out of plastic, which will be used as a masking template. Here we have two identical plastic frames which carry parts for the lower hull section, and also we have here exhaust covers. If I bring it closer, you can see that we have some pre-molded features, and that's really cool. These are custom marks, so it would be also visible if you, let's say, apply some dirt or dust on these parts. Okay. What is also interesting here is that we get external armor for the turret. It is made out of plastic. As you can see here, it's slightly bent, but it's not a serious issue. It's easy to fix. And of course, some thin parts, and maybe some of them can be even replaced with metal wire, so that you can, let's say, speed up the assembly process. Next, we continue with 4 identical plastic frames. These ones are dedicated to road wheels and suspension parts, so here I will show them. And now we can take a look at only one piece. So as I said, here we have one piece road wheels, and you will have to paint them somehow with your own hands and tools. It will be a bit tedious work, and still we have some pre-molded features on the tire walls. And also note these leaf springs, they look quite nice. It might be a good idea to play with washes on these parts. It will be also visible, and also maybe apply some dirt. It will be also a good idea. Okay, next we continue with something what I'm not sure why it is included as a separate edition. Here we have track links. I guess they are specific for today's version of the tank, so we will have to check the assembly manual. Maybe they're used as a spare tracks on the tank, who knows. Next we have armor panels for the superstructure on the tank. So here you can see these armor panels. They also quite nice looking parts. We also have a glacis plate here, and here you can check them from the opposite side. So we still have some interior features inside, even though there is no interior. Okay, so what is next? Next we continue with more hull panels, and here in my opinion, by the way, I think this is a special parts set for today's version because they come on the new sprue, but inside you can also see that we have these guiding elements which will help you align these separate panels together. Otherwise it would be a bit, let's say, horror to do proper alignment between these parts. Now one more sprue is dedicated to the opposite fender, and here we also have some supports for the external armor, and obviously they will not be used as far as I remember, because there is no external armor for the main hull applied. As you remember, it was made as a PE parts. I'm looking at the hull parts at the moment, that's why I'm a bit confused. So I think this one is a universal sprue. It was also found in the previous reviews and releases as well. So here we have a lower panel for the lower hull section. We also have the top turret panel, some parts for the superstructure again, and also some supports for the external armor, which I said they will not be used. And note that hull is also detailed inside again. So yes, you get it for free, but it won't be used. As for the assembly jig, here it is. So it is molded as a single piece part. As I said, you place all the track links here, then you just insert pins from both sides and you are good to go. It's a bit repetitive task, but it's still better than nothing. And as you remember, for example, in T55 and T54 kits from the same brand, it means from Miniart, there was no assembly jig and you had to assemble everything just by your own hands and maybe your own tools. Here we have separate sprue for machine gun. It will be placed on the turret on this tank. Okay. Next, we have a separate frame for Pioneer tools, and quite an interesting thing, you will see it in assembly manual that some of these clamps can be replaced with PE parts, which is really cool because it gives you a choice whether you would like to use a standard pre-molded clamps or you would like to have a bit more features on your tank. And next we continue with another sprue for Pioneer tools. As you remember, Panzer IV and its versions were literally covered with various tools, so here we have them all. And note that towing cable will have to be replicated with help of your own metal cable or metal wire if you prefer. Next, here we have the last gray plastic sprue. So this one is dedicated to side panels for the lower hull section. We also have some top covers for the engine bay, and also now here we have rear armor wall. And what is else interesting? Separate hatches again, and this is a side panels for the lower hull section, as you remember, but they are also detailed inside as well. Okay. So now we can move on to the assembly manual. This one is printed in form of large brochure. It's color printed, and it's a typical format for Miniart, so there is no surprise in that. But this color printing is really helpful because it will give you idea on how to paint your tank. You will see it, I think, right now. Yes, here we have two camouflages from this kit. So as you can see, they have the external armor on the turret, but they do not have any external armor panels on the main hull, which is quite interesting combination in my opinion. Here we have third marking option. This one is from December 1944. Next we continue with tracks. So as you remember, Miniart does not show which parts are unused in this kit, so you should be careful and keep track of which parts should be installed here and there. So assembly process starts with the lower hull section. Still you have to install some internal parts for additional rigidity of the whole structure, because otherwise it will be a bit wobbly, let's say, and it will be difficult to get the right alignment. Next we continue with top panels. Again, you have an option to open the hatches if you prefer, and straight away you assemble the spare tracks. As you can see here, you have to use these new parts. It's really interesting why they are inserted between standard tracks, so if you know it, write in the comment section. We continue with some minor parts on the lower hull section. We install side shelves, and next we continue with the superstructure, which will be assembled separately, as you can see, and only then installed on the lower hull section. Next we continue with various panels on the same lower hull section. We install also some panels for the engine bay. As you remember, this is not an interior kit, so there is nothing in the engine bay. And here, by the way, you can see exactly what I said about towing cables, so they should be replicated with your own metal wire and then placed on the rear part of the tank. And few tanks should be clamped with help of PE parts, which is really cool in my opinion, because it will add some realistic touches to the model. Next, we continue with the fire extinguisher and some Pioneer tools. Note that fire extinguisher holder is assembled out of PE, and it's really interesting assembly sequence because you will have to bend these parts around the plastic element. Quite unusual in my opinion. We have also option to lift these front mud guards. Quite an interesting thing. Next, you assemble the tensioners and drive sprockets. And what you can see here is exactly what I was mentioning, that you can replace the pre-molded tool clamps with PE parts. We continue with suspension assembly. So here you have to assemble each drivetrain bogie separately, so be ready for that. As you remember, there are no masks for this road wheels. Here, by the way, you can see tracks assembly, so 101 track link for each side. And then we go on with the turret, so you can notice that main gun gets assembled inside as well. And next we have also various options to open different hatches. Quite important in my opinion, because some manufacturers skip on some hatches, they make them pre-molded. Now also you can open the rear box, even though here it is not shown from what I can see. Quite interesting. Next, we continue with the machine gun. You can also open the commander's hatch. You place the external armor. Again, there are two positions for the external armor in case you plan to open one of the hatches, because obviously this armor section was openable. And the final step, step number 75, it involves installation of the turret on the tank. So here we have one more marking option. It's a marking number 4. It comes from December 1944. Next, we continue with 5th and 6th marking. This one is on the box art, by the way, green tank. And here we have the final 2 markings. So this one is from March 1945. And here we have another one from May 1945. So whole kit should be already available. You can get it in Modelimex, for example. It should be already available for purchase there, as far as I remember. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about such release. Do not forget to write it here in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye!